So you're using this occasion to get more government um, finance or programs into the black community?
Exactly.
But isn't that's one of the primary reasons that black people are not all but most are so morally bankrupt is because government has been taking care of them for the last 50 or 60 years or so. Government is hurting them rather than helping them. Why do you want more government programs in the black community?
I think that it's, I mean, I don't know if it's government that's been morally bankrupt,
No, well, it's the
or black
government that
folks that have
has
been
helped.
morally
Right.
bankrupt by the lack of government services.
No, not the lack
Um,
of too much government support has devalued black Americans.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think there hasn't been enough support. I think, especially for me, growing up in Los Angeles, I grew up in poverty and watched my mother work 3+ jobs. Barely was able to see her. And as I went to school, I witnessed how mostly communities of color, black communities, were segregated even in our own schools, tracked into um, sort of lower education. And I think that the government hasn't actually done enough for black people.
Amazing. Were you born out of wedlock?
No, I was not.
So your father was in the home,
Yes.
and yet the two of them could not raise a family?
Not with. I don't understand your question. Could
Did
not
your,
raise a family.
did your father work?
Yes, he did.
And,
Yeah, he worked for GM Van Nuys.
and your mother worked as well?
She sure did.
Well, why were you poor?
I have no idea. I think because we live in a capitalist system that some people have a lot of wealth and some people don't.
You don't support capitalism?
I think what I support is families being able to feed their children regularly. And I think the current system that we live under doesn't allow for all families to live a life of dignity.
Do you support capitalism?
I support systems that support communities, and in this current government, it's not about capitalism or not. I think it's more about who's taken care of and who's not taken care of.
Do you support capitalism?
I'm not understanding your question.
Do you support capitalism or not? He hung up. She hung up. James, get her back. See if she'll come back. Call her again. My question was quite simple. Do you support capitalism or not? And the answer is no, I believe, but she wouldn't say it. She support more government. See, folks, this is what's going on in America. They want more government.
I grew up thinking that being poor was my fault and my mother's fault. That because my mother was a single mom, it was her fault that we were sometimes unable to eat. And that's on purpose. It's on purpose that people who are most marginalized, people who are poor, who are mostly impacted by state violence, to think that being killed by a cop was our fault. They tell us that, right?
We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories. And I think that what we really try to do is build a movement that could be utilized by many, many Black folk